welcome to Coffee and Conversations. It's me, Danica K. What's going on out there, lovely people? Oh, yes, God is so good. So, today, I just want to talk from the subject of all relationships are seasonal. What do you think about that? Do you agree? Do you disagree? Or are you a little bit in between? So, backstory where I get that topic from. Back in 2014, I think it was like July, I went to see Marvin Sapp preach at a church in my neighborhood, and he was amazing, by the way. Funny guy. So he was talking about a lot of great things. I went back and looked at my notes, and I'm like, oh, he had a lot of great nuggets. That's why taking notes is important. Message. So one thing he said, and this is what he said verbatim. He said, every relationship outside of your relationship with God is seasonal. And where I was at that time in my life, I was newly into Christ. I was losing relationships left and right because, two can't walk together unless they agree. And you should be equally yoked in all of your relationships, not just when you're choosing a partner. So, I was losing, people, important people at that time, like my life that I was hanging around with and just kicking it with on the daily and stuff. People that I knew that would be around forever. Like, oh, this person is standing behind me at my wedding, cutting the rug with me. And so when he said it, I was like, well, that makes sense. That's why this person's not here anymore. Our relationships are seasonal. And then it even comforted me with the loss of my grandfather. And, I'm like, yeah, seasonal. You're born and you die. So, and it just gave me comfort. And so I held on to that. And I held on to so strongly that I even held on to it in kind of like a negative sense. I took it as, oh, all relationships are seasonal, so I don't care if you're not my friend tomorrow. That just means your season is over. And I was just so black and white with it. Like, either you're my friend or you're not. So I used it as a blanket to really cover my true feelings, because some relationships are worth fighting for. And so I just, like I said, I held on to it in a negative way or not in a way that I think God really intended it to be. And I used it as a blanket, as a covering to really mask my true feelings or to justify things, be like, oh, well, it is what it is. And it's so funny because this one particular guy would always use that phrase, and I hated it. Like, every time he would tell me it is what it is, I hated it. But that's how I use all relationships are seasonal. Like, it is what it is. You my friend, you not. Okay, whatever, it is what it is. So it wasn't up until recently that, and forgive me, my sinuses are draining, so that's why I sound like this. But it wasn't up until recently, like a recent incident that happened, where God gave me another revelation in terms of that phrase. And God was like, yes, all relationships are seasonal, And someone even pointed it out to me that she didn't believe in that phrase, and she actually hated it, like, when I used it. Well, I don't think she used the word hate, but she didn't like, when I would use it or whatever. And I even admitted to her, like, yeah, I can see where you're coming from with that, because I do use it as a defense mechanism, and I use it as a way to just be like, I don't care, which is not really my true feelings, because I do care. But and she said, I believe that some seasons are for a lifetime. And at first, it didn't kind of like click until like the Lord had brought it back into my remembrance. And I was like, yeah, some seasons are a lifetime, like when you get married, but even with that, like, God took it an extra step. God is he's literally the wisest person ever. So he was like, in relationships, period, yes, they are seasonal. And you have some seasons of drought in a relationship. You have some seasons of stillness. You have some seasons where things are not moving, where things are not growing. You have some seasons where things are hot and on fire and things are just like blazing. You have a season where, things are stretched. Like, there are multiple seasons within a relationship. So, like I said, I was taking it as a yes and no. And then God showed me that, no, it's not yes or no, that it's all that in between. I don't know if you're married or even if you are single and not married, but you have vital relationships in your life. I think you can look back and you can see the different seasons of your relationships with certain people. My husband and I, we just made 3 years, praise the Lord, being married. And I can even look back within our 3 years of being married, the seasons that we've had so far. And I can only imagine the seasons that's to come, And then I look at some friendships in my life, like one particular friendship, we both came back to Christ around the same time, and just from 2013 even to now, I can see the different seasons in our friendship. When I was single and she's single, we were together like all the time. And then when I got married, that was a different season. It was a transition in our relationship. And then I had a baby. That's another different season, and not just in my life, but for us together. And then, she started dating. So then that's another season. So God just showed me that, yes, all relationships are seasonal. And yes, I do agree with that young lady that, some seasons are for a lifetime, And so I just want to encourage those of you who are listening to just sit back and kind of like evaluate all of your relationships that you have. Kind of like try to discern the seasons and stuff. And that's my prayer now that God has given me this revelation, because like if you know better, you do better, right? So now I'm just praying for like the wisdom and discernment to be able to see and discern the seasons in my relationship, so that I can know how to better prepare, how to pray more, like how to direct my prayer, to know what type of friend to be in that moment, like to know what type of wife to be, what type of mom to be in that moment, so I just want to encourage you to do the same, ask God for that revelation, ask God for that wisdom, so that you too can be the best you can be in the season of that time, so that you can reap the harvest in that season, or that you can plant the seeds in that season to prepare for the harvest in the next season. And so I just want to encourage you to do that. And lastly, I was challenged Marvin Sapp, because he said that every relationship outside of your relationship with God. And I'm like, now that I'm thinking about it, I'm like, no, there's different seasons. At least for me, I can only speak for myself. But there are different seasons in my relationship with God. There are different seasons where I feel like God is quiet and he's not really talking. Well, he's always talking, but, just not like, I guess, moving as I normally would see him move or something like that. Or, a season where I'm not as where I should be or in my proper position, so that I'm going through a season of disobedience to where I need to get my act together, So Marvin Sapp, we should have a conversation on that. But again, like I said, I just came to encourage you guys to just discern your seasons of your friendships and your relationships, and fight for what you think is to be there. Don't be like me and lose vital relationships because of your ignorance. His people perish for the lack of knowledge, and ignorance is just not knowing, right? So just don't be like me. Let's do better. We know better. Let's do better. And let's better govern and discern our seasons with our relationships. And let's be better people, better friends, better lovers, better wives, better moms, better husbands, better dads, better pastors, better first ladies, ushers, whatever your role and your position is, better co-workers, employers, employees, all of the above. Let's just be better people, okay? So that's all I got for you guys today. I love you all. God loves y'all more. And join us next time on Coffee and Conversations. Thank you. Bye.